So guys, as you can see from our video, we're going to continue tonight in Amends. And I am not speaking. I just have the pleasure of introducing our speaker. But I was thinking about Amends. I was thinking about the I'm sorry part of it. And I like to think that I'm, relatively good at things, right? I feel like I'm halfway decent at a few things. Saying I'm sorry is not one of those things. It is a pretty big struggle for me. And I'm a big believer in, I'll just show you, right? I'll just show you that I'm different. And as important as that is, I think sometimes it's a little bit of a cop-out in terms of not having, right, to really face and really acknowledge and really take on our amends. And so this is one of those areas that while I feel like I'm pretty bad at it, I know from personal experience that it's something that Brian excels at, and he has some phenomenal insight. So if you guys would, welcome Brian. He's going to share with us about amends tonight.
Oh, Lord. As she said, my name's Brian. I'm a grateful believer in Christ. And it's funny somebody would bring this up because I've been a State fan my whole life. And they finally did good for like the past century maybe. They were doing well. So trust me, I know what it's like to lose and be on, just be on a mediocre team or whatever. But anyway, so then it also got me thinking, I feel like I'm loud. But anyway, my name's Brian. I'm a grateful believer in Christ, and my struggle was once alcohol and drug abuse. And hey. So tonight we're going to talk on step 8, and it's the power of ownership. And tonight's core question is going to be, what does it mean to offer full amends? And then the scripture is Romans 12:18. Do all that you can to live in peace with everyone. So like Catherine was saying, lead up to me coming out here, I have made several amends, quite a few amends, and I mean kind of big amends, which I guess they all are. I mean, none are downplayed, right? They're all big amends. So just over my course of being sober and getting sober, I left a lot of carnage in my wake, right, in my path behind me, and amends is how we make that right. It's how we let people know that we're sorry, and we're going to go through all that. So I would say probably to start out, probably one of my biggest amends was to my daughter, Faith. And if y'all have heard my testimony, you've heard about that situation and what happened there. And this is why I like cargo pants, because I can just keep pulling stuff out. And I get picked on about my cargo pants, but I'm old and I like my cargo pants, okay? And it holds my water bottle and my massive phone. And when I came in, I had the microphone. So cargo pants, it's going to come back around. Everything does. But anyway, so my daughter, if you've heard my testimony, she got really, really sick when she was a teenager. She was 15 and literally almost died. I mean, it was bad. It was scary. And at that time, I had been sober for 6 months, but I was just biding my time, really. I think I was just kind of dabbling. I just kind of sticking my toe in the water, but I didn't really want to give it up. I still was holding on to it, and I still thought I could control it. But I had been sober for 6 months, and that's the longest I had been, literally in 20-something years. But anyway, when my daughter got sick and in the hospital, when she started getting better, they literally had put her in an induced coma, and she came out of it. And she was getting better. She was on the mend, so I felt like we were on the downhill, right? So that was my opportunity. That's how my addict brain started going. I'm like, man, I can get some drinks in right now, And who would blame me? I've been through all this. People would probably, say I deserved it. So that's what I did. I left the hospital. I stopped at a store, and we were in Raleigh. I stopped in a store in Raleigh, and before I got in the Garner, I was I was already done with what I bought in Raleigh, and I was stopping in Garner, and then I stopped in Clayton. Because, I don't know, I know it speaks about it in the Bible, but when you give up something and you take it back, it's like 10 times worse. That's literally where I was at. I mean, I just could not get enough, and it was right off the bat. So basically, I went on a bender for 2 days. I wouldn't answer my phone. I wouldn't answer my text. I wouldn't, nothing. So Catherine, she knew what was going on. She's been there, done that, right? She's been with me for over 20 years. So what was crazy, though, and she calls my parents and our preacher at the time at another church to come check on me at the house, and I was riding my four-wheeler, because that's what you should do when you're drunk, go ride an ATV with a helmet. Not a helmet. I never wear a helmet because I guess my head's probably solid rock or something. But anyway, I'm coming across the field, and I see all these cars coming down my driveway, and we got a really long driveway. So, I mean, you're either lost or you know what you're doing if you come down our driveway. I'm like, what in the world? So I'm looking, and I drive into the pond. I just bloop off into the pond. And that's John's favorite part, because he's like, man, I can just see you driving off in that pond. So anyway, drive off in the pond. Anyway, come back around. I have to fast forward. I didn't drink anymore. I didn't drink after that because I saw what I had done. I'm like, this is what I have done. I've completely messed up. My kid's in the hospital. My wife's with her. She's having to send a pastor and our friends and my parents and all these people to come save me. So that's when something really clicked in me, and I didn't want to drink anymore because I was hurting my family. I was hurting my wife, my kid, my son, my daughter. I was hurting everybody around me, my parents, my sisters. And I just, that, like I said, there was something inside of me changed in that moment because I knew I had messed up bad. So I had to make an amends with her, but we did it with, that was one we did with a counsel because I knew there was going to be a lot of, she was going to have a lot of questions. She was probably going to have a lot of emotions, and I honestly didn't know how to answer them or handle them. I wouldn't have known what to do. So we sat in with a third-party counselor, and I made my amends to her in front of the counselor, and that way we could get the proper things said and done to make that amends and make it what it needed to be. So, yeah, that was my amends to her. And so these are all a little different. Then one of my next biggest ones was to Kat, obviously. I had put her through a lot of stuff, and or at least that's what she tells me. I don't know. So hers was totally different. Hers was, she was ready, but I was not. I wasn't ready. I wasn't there. I hadn't grown, right? I needed time for me. I needed time for me to heal, and I needed time for me to mature and grow, and I just hadn't got there. So I was still doing my process groups and those sort of things, and I remember she was constantly reaching out to John, and then she was like, when's Brian going to make amends? When's he going to tell me he's sorry? And probably driving him nuts, like nowhere near to the level of how she drives me nuts, but sorry, babe. But, so yeah, but I wasn't ready. So how many of you know that if I make an amends when I'm not ready, it's not going to be any good, right? It's not going to count. Not going to count for a whole lot. But I needed time. The biggest thing for hers was because I was mad at her when I quit drinking. How silly is that? But I was mad with her. I'm like, I'm a grown man. If I want to drink, I should be able to drink, right? And, so I didn't want to quit, but for the click in me for her was the change that was putting myself in her shoes. I had to put things through her eyes and her perspective. How would I feel if the shoes were on the other foot? If I was the one asleep at home while she was out drinking half the night, while she was out wrecking cars, while she was getting phone calls from the cops because I'm in jail again. She was getting phone calls from my parents because they're having to come get me somewhere, or getting a phone call from my sisters because they're having to come get me somewhere, and all these things happen. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have handled it the same way. I mean, I don't honestly know how she put up with it as long as she did, but she did. And for that, I'm thankful because God knew I needed somebody just as stubborn and hard-headed as me to get me sober. That's for you. So with that said, my last one was literally the most recent one, and that was to my son because I pretty much was in active addiction his whole life. And I don't know, up until I guess 8 or 9-ish years old, somewhere in that ballpark. And I literally just did his from my last process group, which would have been, I guess, around the beginning of the year. But anyway, we'll get back to that later. I'm going to loop back around to that, and we'll talk more about it. But for his was about timing. I had to wait till he was old enough to be able to process it and to be able to take in everything that I was saying and know what I meant, right? Because I think if I'd have done it when he was young, 10, 11, whatever, when you're 10 or 11, you can't really process it. You don't fully understand it. I think it would have just been like, yeah, it's okay. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. But it was. It was a big deal. And I really wanted him to see that and acknowledge that what I did was completely and totally wrong, and it was not okay, and that I needed to make it right. And I wanted him to know that I wanted it to be right. So with that said, if you make amends with your wife, she will let you back in the house. If you make amends with your daughter, she'll get you a cool NC State sweatshirt for your birthday. And if you make amends with your son, bear with me. You get the world's ugliest Walmart Shrek shirt, apparently. So yeah, those are what I got from my amends. So I mean, basically the reasoning by why I did it, I wanted to repair my relationships. I wanted real forgiveness. I needed it for my personal growth. I needed to make my past mistakes right. I needed to heal those wounds that I caused, and I needed to gain people's trust back. I wanted to be a good dad. I wanted to be a good husband. I want to be a good son, and I want to be just a better person, right? So that's why I did what I did. Now, as far as amends done wrong, how we can completely mess those up, rush into an amends. In other words, rush it. Neither person may be ready. Like I said with her a while ago, she was ready. I wasn't. I needed to grow. I needed to show that I was changed, that I was different. The person you're giving it to may not be ready. They may not. If I'd have done it too quick, she may not have been over her struggles and her hurts and been like, I don't want to hear it right now. You know, she probably would have needed some time to heal as well. So we don't want to rush those amends. I've already talked about how Aiden's, being older and being able to understand it. A big thing for me though is proven change. Like, prove you're different. Prove it, and that takes time. We don't do it at all. Just don't do it, right? Don't deal with it. The ostrich lesson we got, stick your head in the sand. Jeremy made a cool sweatshirt out of that. I've been trying to come up with some sort of catchphrase so I can get a shirt made, but I don't know. The best I got is my Walmart Shrek shirt. So, but anyway, I know that we were like that when we were kids. We just, my family, like my sister's mom, dad, or whatever, if something happened or anything bad was going on, we all just pretended it wasn't happening, right? We didn't talk about it, and we just acted like it didn't happen. I mean, just like me, when I was 15, I came home drunk and got the tarnation beat out of me, and then got up the next day and we didn't even talk about it like it never even happened. There's insincerity. So what do you think that's going to do if you're insincere? It's going to make them feel disrespected. If you're forcing a smile, if you're monotone, and just being generic, if your body language is going to say a whole lot, your eye contact or lack of eye contact, no follow through. I mean, again, it's just not rushing it, and again, you're just going to make them feel useless, or that it was useless and disrespected. So, I mean, if I did that with Kat, if I would have came in too soon and been like, I just won't do it again. I'm sorry, didn't mean it, but I'm gonna go to the bar and I'm just gonna have water. Probably wouldn't have went over too well. Probably wouldn't work out too good, would it? We make excuses for our behavior. So we'll say things like, for me, this is all stuff I did. Most of this, 90% of this is going to be from my perspective. You're just going to be like, I need it to relax. Everyone does it. And then the other week, she stood up here and said that I said, which I did, I drank. If anybody had to be with you, they drink too, Now, I would not lie. I did crack a smile when she said that, and I had to pull my shirt over my face because I was embarrassed somebody might see me. But I did say hurtful stuff like that. So making excuses, minimizing the harm. I did all those things. I would minimize everything, say it's not that bad, it's fun. I mean, we're enjoying ourselves, we're not hurting anyone. Everybody else does it, right? It's, it's just a socially accepted thing. Everybody's doing it, blah, blah, blah. So all the excuses, I did all that. Denial, gaslighting. I did tons and tons of gaslighting. Deflecting, false apologies, basically lying, apologizing, saying it wasn't going to happen again when it was going to. It was just a matter of time, but it was going to happen again. Expecting immediate forgiveness. I don't think that's fair, right? We can't expect immediate forgiveness. Like I said, some people need time to process and take it all in and do the healing on their side, right? So they need to process their emotions and that sort of thing. And then there's the repeat behavior. Like I said a while ago, you're going right back out and doing it again. I mean, that's literally manipulating and lying. And then I got on that too. A lot of times we try to do something in secret. We kind of go back to our sins in secret, right? And we think we're getting away with it, but you're not. You're not getting away with it. God knows exactly what you're doing. He knows exactly what you're doing. And I know for me, I tried to do that. I tried to sneak around and I thought it was okay. But then as I grew in my faith, I started realizing that he's my father, right? He's my heavenly father. So if I have him as a father figure, I know he knows what I'm doing. Do I want him to see me doing that and let him down? Absolutely not. I know that, like I said, I knew I had to grow some to get to that point, but I did get to that point. And then just not listening. And what I mean by not listening is hearing feedback. It's okay if someone's making an amends to you or whatnot, be willing to listen, be willing to hear what they have to say, because they have feelings too. They're also going to have a different perspective than you do. Like I said, I had to put myself in her shoes to really see what things were like on the other side of it and be like, no, I'm not good with that. That's not cool. So that was another thing why I like our open shares and stuff like that are being mixed, and our process groups. There's so many different struggles or whatever. You get different perspectives and points of views, and it just helps you grow. And then I was reading just some verses that kind of related to it, and it was Matthew 5:23-24. It says, therefore, if you're offering your gift at the altar, and there remember your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there in front of the altar. First go and be reconciled to them, then come and offer your gift. So in other words, it's saying even if you're at the altar and you realize you got a problem, leave it and go make it right, which I thought was pretty crazy. I mean, that's pretty radical, right? So that's how important that it is. And then Romans 12:17-18 says, repay no one for evil, but give thought to do what is honorable in the sight of all. If possible, so far as it depends on you, live peacefully with all. The person or story out of the Bible that I think I could have benefited from a good amends and probably would have had a lot less struggles. That was Saul and David. How many of you know King Saul was after David? If you've read the story, like he was trying to kill him. I mean, he was almost like crazy, borderline nuts when you read the story. He's throwing spears at him and just all sorts of chaos, but it was literally all based on jealousy and envy. So he was full of jealousy and envy and bitterness and anger, all because he was jealous of David and the accomplishments that he had. Just like in one of the verses, it says, Saul's killed his thousands and David's his 10,000s. And he's like, his ego, I'm the king. It's supposed to be about me, not him. And I think if he'd have just went and talked to David, maybe had an amends, let him know how he felt, and got some of that stuff out, he probably would have had a much better outcome to his life, right? Because he ended up doing some pretty gnarly things. I mean, he sent armies after him, David, to kill him, so he's wasting money and resources and people and all these sorts of things. There was a lot of people killed over David. I mean, in the story, it talks about the priests. There was like 85 priests, I think it said, that were killed because he thought they were conspiring with David to overthrow his throne. So, I mean, he had just completely lost it. and he did everything in the complete opposite and wrong way, and then he ended up taking his own life during a battle. So his stuff did not work out well for him. He ended up, it literally self-destructed and imploded on himself. So some things that like us as a whole could take away from this that we could do is part of an amends or making an amends is be humble. We need to be willing and open to learn and to have gratitude, and also recognizing the needs of other people and actually helping, actually doing something about it, stepping in and making a difference. Accepting criticism, I think I had already talked about that, but accepting responsibility, and that's literally what amends is about. That's accepting responsibility for what you did and admitting that what you did was wrong and needs to be made right. So if we would admit fault, take ownership, and then realize and recognize the impact that we've made on other people. Like I was saying earlier, everything I did impacted my family. They had to see all the things that I was doing. And then I can't stress it enough, it's changing your behavior. To me, that speaks the loudest. That's the loudest thing in the room. If you change your behavior and prove to people you're different, that's going to mean the most, in my opinion. I know for my crowd, I think that's where it came in. I had to prove I was a different person. And if you'll lean in and do the things that we learn here and that we do here, you won't have a choice but to change. God's going to change you because it's going to come from the inside out. But in saying that, we also have to put in effort, right? It's like I saw a while back, somebody posted a thing, something, we talk about it all the time, but God can tell you can have something or give you something, and then it's the guy on the picture and he's leaning on his shovel. He's just leaning on his shovel. You gotta put that shovel to work. We gotta put in the effort. And I think a lot of us, honestly, are lazy with it. We don't want to put in the effort that it takes to do it. Taking feedback and accepting feedback and using it, because there's the way the process works. If you're talking to people and you're talking to your accountability partners and your sponsors, then they're going to give you advice. There's tons of people in this room who's probably already been through what you're going through, who already has done what you've done or experienced what you experienced, and they could probably help walk you through it. So we got to be willing to listen to them and willing to do what they ask us to do. And then, again, talking about it again, putting yourself in other people's shoes. I mean, really, for me, that's huge. Reflect, like literally for me, I had to sit there and think about how I would have felt if I was in her place, or if I was in my daughter's place or my son's, and sit there and really reflect on it and really think about it, not just for a minute or two, but really, really think on it and try to play all those scenarios and things out in my head that I was doing if they would have done it to me, how I would have felt. It's like Aiden, I think a lot of times when I was doing my chaotic, crazy stuff around him, he may have been laughing or smiling, but I think sometimes he was scared. And I think sometimes he was probably wondering why in the world I was acting so crazy. He was just a kid, so I'm pretty sure a lot of those thoughts went in his head. So what would it look like if we all lived in this wonderful utopian world, right, where we just all made amends to each other? We bump into somebody at Walmart and we immediately write them an amends letter right then and just read it to them, right? What would the world look like? So I kind of reflected on that too. If we made amends a regular activity, we would set up literally a culture of forgiveness and relationship restoration, period. There would be healing on a large scale instead of hurting. There would be reconciliation of relationships, mended relationships, just like our marriage. People would make up, things would be more positive. There would be less guilt and resentments, because how many of us know there's tons of guilt and resentments walking around out there? Maybe we would trust a little better if we knew people were willing to own up to their mistakes and say, hey, I messed up. We'd probably trust people a lot more because we'd know, hey, if they messed up, they're going to make it right. We would definitely get along better, and we would definitely have more peace. I think there would also be tons and tons of personal growth. And with that, there would be more humility. There would definitely be more humble people out there. And so with that, I'm going to swing back around to my son and my amends to him and what that would look like. So this would be kind of like an example. If anybody's never made an amends, there's a process behind it, and there's work in it. I mean, like I said earlier, there's work involved in all this. Showing up here on Friday nights, huge, and that's a good thing, and it's a great start, but there's so much more. There's so much more to it. So with that, I would just want to say this too. She said there was pollen still out, and there's still allergies probably going around, so I may or may not have eye watering. If I do, it's because of the pollen, okay? Just putting that out there. It's the pollen. Yeah, this one's tough, man. Golly, this one's tough. So anyway, I wrote an amends to my son in my last process group. He had no idea I was working on it. I felt like I had put him off for a long time, and I kind of did. I mean, I put him off for like 8 years till I made it. I mean, he went from being this guy to this guy, and when I made my amends to him. So here we go. Son, friend, buddy, because he is my buddy, man. My behavior while you were growing up was unfair to you. The things that I did and the ways that I behaved are definitely not your fault. I used to put drinking as a priority over everything, unfortunately, even you at times. I would take you out in cars and drive them like an idiot at high rates of speed and go behind buildings to do donuts. The time I was driving the Civic over the berms in our yard and jumping them, because yes, I did that, your head hit the windshield and busted it. You could have been cut and hurt. We joke, and this thing's so close, man. I'm getting old eyeballs too. Here we go. We joke and talk about those things now like it wasn't that big of a deal, but it was. I was drunk, and I could have gotten us or you hurt. I could have been caught by the cops while you were with me, and I know that would have been scary and unfair to you. I used to take you to swim practices and ball games and other events that you were involved with at the time and leave you to go to get alcohol so I could get drunk while I waited for you. I used to take you to swim meets, and I would be so hungover that I would go back to my truck and try to get some rest or fall asleep because I would feel sick and like crap. I honestly didn't know if you ever tried to find me and couldn't, and if you did, I don't think you've ever told me. Again, if you did and you needed me, that was not fair to you as a child. I should have been there. I should have been watching and keeping up with every precious second of everything that you were doing because that time was special, and we will never be able to get that time back. I am sure I was mean or made you feel scared at times when you were a kid, and I am sure you didn't even understand why I was acting so weird and chaotic at times. You deserved better and a better dad growing up than the one I offered you. One that was always there for you and sober so that I could remember and cherish all those times we had together, no matter how simple they may seem. I am sorry you had to see and hear some of the stupid things that I did and spoke. I'm sorry that my addiction put stress on mine and your mom's marriage and that you had to see us and hear us argue and fight. Watch me destroy and punch things like the walls and the car when you guys were leaving one time. I know being around that environment had to be miserable to grow up in and witness. I am sorry for the times your mom had to call the cops and have me removed from the house because I would lose my temper and get out of control. I regret the time I told you and your sister that you had to keep my drinking a secret when your mom had gone out of town and put that stress and strain on you. I can still remember the look on your face as you tried to eat your supper processing what I had told you. You did not deserve to be put in that situation and under that type of pressure. I am sorry I had to spend weekends in jail instead of being with you, making good and positive memories, participating in fun stuff that a father and son should be doing together. I am sorry you had to see and hear me and your mom fight and argue, catching you up in a toxic environment. I'm sorry you had to know about your mom giving me a breathalyzer just to be around you or let you ride in the car with me. I'm sorry you had to come stay with me. Sorry you had to come stay with me only on the weekends at my parents' house while we were separated. Sleeping on a pallet next to me on the floor because you wanted to be close to me when you came over. I have to believe those things have had an impact on you, and I'm truly sorry from the bottom of my heart. I'm sure there were times that you felt scared, abandoned, alone, and that at times you didn't matter and you weren't important. I know there had to be times of worry and confusion that no child should ever have to feel or experience. I should have been a better dad and put my family first, not my addiction. I can tell you that while I may never be a perfect dad, that I will always put you first now. And I will be a sober dad that is here for you. And I will be able to do it with a sound mind and memory. I am sincerely sorry you had to be part of my addiction and all that came with it that was negative. You didn't ask for it, and you certainly did not deserve it. I can only hope that you won't do what I did, since you had to see firsthand how horrible addiction can be on a family. I am here for you, and man, it's an understatement when I say that I love you. You mean the world to me. I ask for your forgiveness, and I have been praying that God will restore you and any damage that I may have caused you. Please feel free to tell me how you feel, and also let me know how I can make it up to you. Love, sober dad. That's what this program's about. That's what Amends is about. Yeah, if the band will come up. I guess they knew, huh? So tonight, I guess there's a bunch of different ways we can go with the altar call, but I don't know. We're going to open up the altars as the band plays. And maybe you're like me. Maybe you've been putting things off for too long. Maybe you've been denying. Maybe you've been saying maybe the things I did weren't that bad. Maybe I didn't hurt my family. Maybe I just, sweep it under the rug. Maybe I don't have to deal with it. Maybe I just don't even have to do it, period. But I'm here to say that it is important. And it does matter, because the things that we do affect those around us, and it negatively affects those around us, and we hurt people. And it's all about coming up here and asking God how you can make those things right, how you can make those changes. Maybe you need to just come ask for courage or strength or some guidance to see and know what you've been doing wrong to maybe hurt someone else. And I know there's a ton of different scenarios and different things for making amends. But maybe if we'll just come up here and pray and ask for, like I said, just ask for some guidance to maybe bridge those gaps with the people that we've hurt and those people that we've done wrong, and we just want to make those things right, to mend those relationships with our families, with our sons, with our daughters, with our moms, our dads. So if you would, just come up here. Like I said, the altar's open. If y'all would just come up here and just ask God to give you some guidance and direction, and take that step, that first step in admitting that I'm wrong, and I hadn't been there for maybe my family. I hadn't been there for my kids. And I'm ready to deal with it. I'm ready to make things right. And I'm ready to stop being in denial and just for the courage to do what needs to be done. Thank you, guys.